ideally, the church the missionary sent out of is supposed to provide an abundance of missionary care, but for various reasons, that isn't always the case.
Yeah.
And so
sometimes it's resources
one piece
or whatever.
of the puzzle of many. And now we've got a second couple now with BBFI that are doing it. It was like when we came off the field, the survivor's guilt, I'm a quitter, I'm this and that. And that's not always the case.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you guys didn't have a lot of choice unless you're going to completely change. So, you know, I don't want missionaries to wear the big Q around them.
Yeah.
Quitter. Yeah. You know, there's valid reasons. Not everybody's going to stay their whole life. Missionary doesn't define who we are. Jesus Christ defines who we are. And really, when the Great Commission was given, we were the uttermost parts of the world, you know. So,
Good morning. Welcome to our 938 podcast. And we've got some special guests with us. I have known Don and Kathy Mingo for a while, maybe 2015, something like that. But they have been an encouragement in my life. And so let me, guys, just thank you for coming on.
Pleasure.
I will tell you that I caught you Friday before you left town, mentioned the idea of, hey, would you be willing to do a podcast? You stayed the weekend so we could record this. So absolutely. You guys have sacrificed so you could be here. So thank you so much for doing that. I don't want to talk all of the time, but this is our 938 podcast, and we're talking about missions and all of that stuff. And I just want to start with, tell me a little bit about how you all surrendered to missions, and then we'll get in kind of to what you've been doing.
Okay, for me, I was born and raised in Minnesota, and I was raised in a Catholic home, and went to church pretty faithful. I was always sort of God interested, if I can put it that way. Mm-hmm. And in 8th grade, public school, we were having study hall, and study hall in those days were paper clips flying and spit wads and everything else. 8th grade, and I look next to me, and there's a kid, Lanny Andolino, from an Italian family, 11 kids, and he was reading his Bible. And I said, Lenny, what are you doing? He said, I'm reading the Bible. And I said, why? Mm-hmm. And so right there in class, he opened up and used what we said Romans Road, led me through the scripture and talked about salvation and getting saved. And I didn't understand any of that. But one thing that snagged me was he said something to this effect. It wasn't exactly this pronounced, but once you put your faith in Jesus Christ, then you have a relationship with the Father that will never fail you. And having come from a home that I didn't have a dependable father, that grabbed me. Yeah. Started going to his church. And then one night in 1973, 2 or 3 in the morning, got on my knees and asked Christ to, it was a real profound prayer. Something like, God, whoever you are, and Jesus, whatever you're supposed to do, whatever I'm supposed to do, I don't understand, but I'm just going to do it. That was my thing. And from there, then the very next week, they had a missions conference at the church I was at. Okay. And that was the day when they went with passports. So you had a missionary from Ethiopia, one from Italy, one from Brazil, for example, and you'd go to each room every night with this little passport and stamp it. Well, the first night I went to Ethiopia, I was just enthralled. Okay. And then I went back the second and the third and the fourth night. And at the end of that conference, I went up to the pastor who barely knew me. And for that church, I was pretty rough around the edges, and I said, God's called me to be a missionary. And he said, really? I said, no, yeah, really. And we've never looked back from that. That's all I've ever wanted to be and all I've ever wanted to do.
Wow. Yeah. Wow. And how old were you then?
16.
Wow, about 16. Yeah, wow. Very, very awesome. That's cool. Very cool.
For me, is when I met my husband, and we were talking.
That's me.
Okay, gotcha. The better half, the worse half. Okay, got it.
And I think we were in the snack shop, and he told me he was going to be a missionary. Mm-hmm. So I said, cool. So 3 weeks later, we were engaged.
Well, I dated some really nice ladies while I was going to Bible college, and when I told them I was going to be the missionary to Africa, they would go, oh. Well, Kathy said,
see you later. If she's on board.
Done deal.
Even though we went to BBC, I was not a Christian. I played a Christian. I didn't know what all that meant. And when we got married and we were working in our first church as missionary interns, we had the Conraps come and prevent the, they were home on furlough. And she told her testimony.
Holy
About, Renee Conrap, about how she lived in a Christian home but never had that personal relationship with Jesus. So that night, November 29th, 1980, my husband led me to the Lord.
Oh, wow.
And it's just like the missions calling just flooded. It's like definitely not just cool. This is really what I want to do.
It's like,
wow.
there is nothing else I can do. This is the only thing this is the only thing I will do.
Saved and called really at the same time.
Yeah.
That's really amazing. I never knew that about you. That's cool.
And Kathy was raised in an extremely rough house, home that didn't have any kind of Christian morality or background. So, I mean, she didn't understand what it was, just like I didn't at first, So it was great, yeah.
Well, let's fast forward. So you serve this internship, you get ready to go to the mission field, and you went to South Africa, correct?
During the apartheid era.
Yeah. So tell us a little bit about that.
You know what got me interested in South Africa, I was in mission prayer band there. We had it at Baptist Bible College time. And I was writing missionaries all in Africa.
Okay.
And I got some letters back from missionaries in South Africa. Now, this is 40-some years ago, so if you got to know the history of South Africa a little bit. But all the missionaries were working with white people. I mean, white South Africans, they've been there 5 generations. I said, well, who's working with the black people? And they said, oh, you can't do that here. Apartheid and everything. Well, whenever my mom told me I couldn't do something, you bet a lot if I'm going to do it. So I said, no. We're going to somehow work with the black people. And then I got connected with a Zulu fella. And that really it's hard to explain the call. It's different for everybody, but something just somehow grabs you. And,
right.
So that's what we're going to do. So we were approved by the Baptist Bible Fellowship in 1984. We went on deputation 2 years. We landed in the country we'd never been to, met by a couple of missionaries. We met once, and we ended up within 6 weeks living in a town we'd never seen before, renting a house, and just walking out in the areas and saying, hey, where are the Zulus? We're here, kind of thing. And but, God puts those things together.
Yeah, he does.
And he brings the people alongside you. And even an old gentleman that taught me Zulu concerning these things is what I just said. And
you haven't forgot it. You're clicky. I always thought that was amazing.
I used to be, but yeah. So, probably it wasn't the smartest way to start missions, but in those days,
you just got pushed in the deep end, huh?
Yeah, you just jumped in the deep end. And, 5 churches later, a training center, a clinic. We built $1 million facility there. And,
wow.
And the facility that's there now costs about $15,000 a month to run, and South Africans do it all.
Wow.
They run the clinic, they do everything. And so, that's just God, that's God's people, So.
Well, and that's really the goal, isn't it? That's the goal of missions, because you want to get to the point where you're working yourself out of a job, and you want that to be autonomous. So it sounds like that work is continuing without you.
I don't know that there'd be 10% of the people. The staff is they got a staff of 40.
Yeah.
10 are medical personnel, and then all kinds of things. I don't know that there'd be 5 people on that campus that even know who I am.
Wow.
So it's been 20 years, and really that's sort of the way you want it.
Yeah. Very, very cool. Yeah. And you spent how many years there?
22 years.
22 years there.
Yeah.
So I'm going to fast forward, because you guys have a very unique ministry.
We do.
And I kind of want you to tell us about how this ministry came about and what you're doing now for those that are watching.
It came about from South Africa, was beginning. We served in what I called the killing fields of South Africa. We had the clan wars, and I don't want to be too graphic, but it got so severe that Kathy and the boys stayed in town and went to a Baptist church in town, South African Baptist church. And I would go alone out in areas, and the things I saw people do to each other, I mean, I can't even talk about them even today, but it started to get to me. I was thinking I was compartmentalizing well and everything. And then we had a youth group come over from the States, and they were serving and doing some things, and we played basketball. And I thought at 40-some years old I could play against these kids, and it went up to try to block a shot from a young teenager, and he came down on me, and I hit head first on the concrete. Was out, slurring, eyeballs all over the place, I think is what you said, right?
Yeah. And there's no 911 in Africa.
Yeah.
Of course,
Right.
the Americans say, call 911. But, yeah, when you go out and your husband's eyes are going everywhere, you know it's serious.
So I went, and they did x-rays and this and that and a PET scan. I thought, well, we're going to get better. Well, it took me a year for speech therapy to stop stuttering.
Wow.
And then I really started having problems, and we couldn't stay because we didn't know what was wrong, but I just was struggling in a number of areas. And my son said this, Dad, the day you hit your head is the one day you became a different person.
Wow.
And I mean, I was having emotional swings and all kinds of things. So we thought, well, we'll just come off the field and the change will help us. Went and pastored a pretty good sized church up in Minnesota where I'm from, and the change didn't help me. And I thought it was the pastorate. So I went and talked to a pastor friend I knew up there from high school days, and big mega church, and he said, Don, the only time I hear stories like this are from our veterans coming off the front line in Iraq and Afghanistan. And he said, if our church paid, would you be willing to go see a therapist that works with veterans that have suffered head traumas? And long story short, PET scans and this, it was actually a traumatic brain injury that I suffered. And so I had to have a lot of retraining, how to make my head work. And, you know, there's all kinds of things involved in the brain that are very complex, and I'll just leave that out. But as I was pastoring and as we were learning to manage, all of a sudden out of the blue, Dr. Cunner gets a hold of us. Hey, you guys going to be down in Springfield anytime soon? I said, well, I can. So we drove down. We walked into his office, and if you know Dr. Cunner, he's an introvert, so he usually do most of the talk. And as soon as I sat down, I said, I got an idea, and you guys are the ones to do it. What's that? I said, well, what do you think about coming back and being a BBFI missionary again? And we're going to have a ministry called Missionary to Missionary Care. I had written several books by that time of what happened to me. And he said, we just want you out there in the front line, sort of like first responders, that our missionaries can go to, have complete confidence. And I said, well, okay, on two conditions. One, three, the missionary tells me stays with me. And he's absolutely. I said, number two, you dance with the one that brung you. So BBFI missionaries are front and center in the line, but we can work with other missionaries, like absolutely. I said, number three, I don't want to raise support. He said, well, 2 out of 3 is pretty good. And I said, how are we going to raise support for this at 57? And he said, you need to be out there shoulder to shoulder with them for them to trust you and stuff. And okay, so we started raising our support, and God magnificently supplied in a whole bunch of ways. And so that's been 10 years now. We've probably had 200 missionaries down at the place in Granbury that's been given to us.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Can you tell, because you told me a little
I'll
bit
let
about
Kathy
that.
share
Share a little bit about how God worked that out.
So, you know, as
I've never been out there. I've just heard about
you
it.
should come.
Yeah.
At 57, we were crazy because we sold everything.
Sold
We
our
knew
house.
that this ministry, we couldn't have any
Going
hold.
to live like gypsies.
So, you know, going to free missionary housing, wherever, anywhere is free to go. And out of the blue, after we had already presented this ministry at Granbury Baptist, an Anglican lady came up and
Calls me on the
called
phone.
Don on the phone, and we want to talk to you guys. We're going,
And I said,
okay.
about what?
You thought you were in trouble, huh?
Yeah.
Why would an Anglican want to talk to us?
But they have a place on Lake Granbury where they actually have a ministry of hospitality, where any minister of any denomination can come to their cottages just to have alone time with God for a few days for free. Well, they had bought a house next to their properties.
Right on the lake.
On the lake, and they wanted to renovate it and make it just for missionaries. But they said, but we do hospitality for pastors. We don't really know. We don't want to do counseling and all that.
Right.
But we heard about you guys. So we thought, okay, there's strings attached.
I was really cautious because good, well-meaning people that do something like that there's always an unintended expectation. And when you can't give that return expectation, then feelings get hurt.
Right.
So finally, the third meeting, Gary, the husband, pulls me aside and said, what? I said to him exactly what I shared now. And he said, Don, now he's a Vietnam vet with 3 Purple Hearts, Bronze Star.
Wow.
And he said, when I heard about a missionary with PTSD, I said, that's what we want. So now, if you don't want to take it, we'll find another missionary with PTSD, and you can do. So we said, oh, okay. And then?
And they renovated the place. They supplied
Furnished
it, sheets, towels, dishes, everything, and for free. We lived there for free.
As long as we do what we do, we can stay there for free.
Have missionaries come, and since we moved in 2018, I think we've tallied it up about 250 missionaries.
Wow.
And they're not coming just to sit on the lake and
Right.
They're coming because we need to talk. So we have received training in depression recovery, trauma care, grief care. Kathy's earned her master's degree in psychology and Christian counseling. I'm getting my second doctorate. My first one is doctor of ministry, but that's all theology, church administration. So I did a PhD in counseling so that we'd be better prepared. And most of what we do really is what?
Burden bearers.
Yeah, we just listen.
Yeah.
We say, give us your burden
Wow.
so that you can go back on the field and be a little bit lighter.
Yeah.
Keep serving God.
And sometimes the burden is so severe. It's so traumatizing for them, so personal, that we'll never see that couple again.
Right.
They bared their son. And that's the cross we're willing to carry. So, I mean, I'm a Minnesota kid, so I'm a person of the lakes, land of 10,000 lakes. All my great-grandparents' lake growing up. And, I mean, how good is God to put you on $1 million property that you could never buy on the lake?
Yeah.
And we had a pontoon boat that was given us. We used to take the missionaries all the time until, with my muscular dystrophy, the last time I drove it, I cracked it into the dock, did considerable damage. And then I said, no, okay, it's time to get rid of the pontoon boat. But and we don't just have missionaries come to us. When we travel a little better, we went to a lot of missionaries. We've done numerous retreats and just spent all of February in Argentina we worked out to about 120 Argentinian pastors and their wives. And so, yeah.
I knew you all were down there. I am learning the importance of missionary care. This new role here at the missions office, and we were talking a little bit before, how many missionaries are leaving the field yearly. And not only that, the fact that a good number of those, about 70%, they say for preventable reasons, if they could get help. And I love this because, excuse me, that's where you guys are filling the gap, right?
Yeah.
Trying.
Yeah, that's just amazing to me.
We're not the be-all and end-all missionary care. We're just one more piece because the office and the staff and the directors, they do a lot of missionary care. Ideally, the church the missionary sent out of is supposed to provide an abundance of missionary care, but for various reasons, that isn't always the case.
Yeah.
And so
sometimes it's resources
one piece
or whatever.
of the puzzle of many. And now we've got a second couple now with BBFI that are doing it.
Yeah.
And someone asked me, so why do we need 2 couples? I said, well, let's see, 600 missionaries divided by 2 couples. That's 300 couples, 300 missionaries apiece. I think we need more.
Yeah,
of those. So,
absolutely. Well, I appreciate what you guys do. I told you this. You reached out to our family. We didn't make it down to Granbury, but the fact that when we came off the field, you just reached out to me. I don't even know if you remember, but you reached out to me.
I remember we came to your house
2 or 3 times. Yeah, and just wanted to know how you could be a blessing to our family, and that's always stuck with me. It's just I'm excited about what you do. So, and go ahead. I'm sorry.
I remember what it was like when we came off the field. The survivor's guilt. I'm a quitter. I'm this and that. And that's not always the case.
Yeah.
You know? I mean, you guys didn't have a lot of choice unless you're gonna completely change. So I don't want missionaries to wear the big Q around the quitter. Yeah. There's valid reasons. Not everybody's going to stay their whole life. Missionary doesn't define who we are. Jesus Christ defines who we are. And really, when the Great Commission was given, we were the uttermost parts of the world, you know. So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I just want you to know I do appreciate you. I'm glad that you stayed. Look, I want to take just a couple minutes because not only are you involved in counseling, doing these retreats, having people down to Granbury, but you are an avid writer and author, and we got several books. Can you just kind of tell us a little bit about your ministry and the books that you've written?
So the first one here, put it up there. The first one here is To Hell, Back, and Beyond, because that's what PTSD was for me. It was an absolute hellish nightmare to go through. When faith and trauma collide, you know, when you have that faith crisis and you're saying, God, I'm praying about this. I'm doing this and that. Why is this still plaguing me? And then I found out, you know, it's a medical reason. And so I go through there and tell my story. It's pretty graphic. I would rate it R as far as violence when I share what I saw. And then the whole dealing with the brain injury. And I deal with the actual, the medical side of PTSD with charts and everything. Yeah. And then at the end, I talk about what we realized, you know, in 2 Corinthians chapter 1, verse 4, you know, the things we go through are for a reason. Verse 3, it says that the God of all comfort, once we learn that God is our comfort, and then we go through these things so when we're comforted, we can comfort others. Right. And then you start seeing that. And that was the first book I wrote. Yeah. And we've had some, okay, I'll tell you one thing. So one guy comes up to me on that book, I think, and we were down at a college, Missionary, big guy, he's about 6'8". Now, I'm a Yankee, and I don't like to be hugged. You don't need to, but he came and put his arms around me. That was the days when I could still stand up pretty well without a wheelchair. And he said, that book saved my life. I said, oh, okay, you know. No, you don't understand. He was on the verge of taking his life until a missionary friend there said, we're going to read this book together. Wow. So do you sell a lot of books? You know, not many, but that's all I need to keep writing. Yeah. And we get those kind of stories all the time. So the second one I wrote is So You Want to Be a Missionary, Essential Considerations. And I talk about the things that you better know about these things, like why your mission team is probably doomed to failure when you get there, you know, because we put a lot of A-plus personalities on it. Yeah. But it's not going to be this harmonious, you know, homogenized kind of thing. There's going to be struggles in there. Your missions agency. Missionaries say, well, I mentioned this and that and everything. I want to talk about, if I had to rewrite policy just for this missionary, I would, but it's got to meet 600 missionaries. Right. And we talk about that. And I said, it's really the in-laws, marriage kind of thing. But just remember, all right, you get the in-laws with the deal, but they're putting up with the daughter and sons-in-laws, things like that. Talk about loneliness and some other things, but this is required reading by several missions agencies. Gotcha. SIM and stuff.
That's a blessing.
This is a cross-cultural worker spiritual survival guide, 14 survival tips to help you survive in your calling. And we talk about all the things that you need to work on and be prepared for. We talk about the need to just stay on top of purity, loneliness. That's the thing we hear from missionary women the most. Loneliness. How do you deal with it? We've got some ways to deal with it, but the big point, teaching point there is it's the cross we carry as missionaries. Yeah. You know. Yeah. You're going out on the field and it can be a very lonely place, especially when you're in a new culture, a new language, all of that. Then I wrote a Christian's mental health guide for pastors, missionaries, pastors, and other Christians too, and that's based upon everything that I've learned about mental health, and I've done some thorough research on it and things, and that's been very well received. Now, one of our single missionaries, female missionaries, I'm not going to name that individual, but you should write a book, Behind the Missionary Smile. And I said, well, tell me about it. She said, you know, that's when you get up before the church to support you and tell them everything's going good and God is blessed. And you go out in the car and go, if you really knew. Because we have struggles that you just can't share in front of an audience, you know, because they don't have any margin, any way of understanding it. And sometimes it's just too personal. So I wrote a book, Behind the Missionary Smile there, and I interviewed a number, particularly female missionaries, that gave me some ideas. So it's more written, in fact, the audio is by a woman. It's more written for women, and that's what I'm hearing a lot about. Gotcha. And the last one is a little irreverent, but it's When Life Sucks. Managing the suck factor. Now, there is something really called the suck factor. Okay. It's anything that brings the overall enjoyment down to its bare minimum. Okay. And so it's a common phrase, this life sucks. Okay, so the whole point of that book is you better know what your suck factor is. You better manage that or manage you. And I'm talking to folks that missionary spouses have cancer, just worst case scenarios in their life. And you go, wow, and so we deal with that. That's been very well received. In fact, one of our authors, Otis Ledbetter in the BBFI is well known. He saw that book, came and said, I want that book.
Wow.
I said, how much? I said, for you, we'll give you the family, friends, and discount. That'll be $99.95.
Yeah,
No,
so charge you more, right?
So go ahead.
We actually give missionaries a book free where
Wow.
we feel like, okay, this might help you.
Yep.
The So You Want to Be a Missionary, and then the second one, the Cross-Cultural Workers Spiritual Survivor Guide, has been the best, especially the newbies that are going out, because it talks about things that you don't learn in Bible college or that your pastor don't tell you.
Yep.
Expectations.
Expectations is a big one.
one.
Expectation is the graveyard of many missionaries.
Yeah.
Because you form your expectations where? In your own cultural backyard.
Yep.
And then you get out to another culture and say, wait a minute, it's not going to work.
Mm-hmm.
And so we sell these when we're at the churches for $15 a piece, and we tell them that pays for my cost, plus it gives us money to buy a book and a half. And then we've sold about 2,000 on Amazon, and that all goes in, and that's used so that we can give missionaries free books.
Praise the Lord. Yeah.
So we don't
That's
make
awesome.
any money on that.
No, but what a blessing. Well, let me, time flies, okay? So let me wrap this up by asking one last question.
Oh, boy.
We are at 938 podcast, right? And that's based on, that's really a driving force of the BBFI. The fact that the harvest is plenteous, the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest that he'll send forth laborers. Right. So if I could maybe just ask one last question is, what would you say? And I guess you kind of say it in these books, but can you just summarize maybe in a paragraph, what would you say to somebody considering or struggling with a call to missions?
I share very quickly, it is the command of the church that Christ gave us. And so for churches, it's a matter of obedience.
Yeah.
With young people, I'm talking, now this is anybody under 30 for me now, but if I'll share the adventurous side. If you want the most exciting, adventurous, terrifying, life-altering experience, in one way, it is a bit of an adrenaline rush, but being a missionary, there's no life like it.
Yeah.
And you see things, experience things. I used to fly from South Africa up to India, and I'd teach computer skills during the day and Bible at night. I'm sitting there having a cup of coffee one day at a coffee shop in India, and a herd of elephants come by with people riding on them,
Wow.
So you see all kinds of things. So from that side, it's exciting, And what I hear from young folks today is just how bored they are with their lives. But the other thing is go out and just see it.
Mm-hmm.
There's plenty of ways to get out. Just see it and see if God is moving in that direction. Give God a chance to talk to you in your life, and you'll come back and say, you know what? I think that's where I need to go. And then get prepared. Make sure you get prepared for it. But to me, there is no better life than the missionary life. It comes with great hardships. There's no doubt about that. But you live on faith's edge all the time.
Yeah.
But what we enjoyed most in South Africa is just seeing how God did things that we couldn't have done on our best day,
Yeah.
And so I encourage young people like us, but give it a try first. Get out there and see, and because just talking to somebody about it, that's their perspective, and
a lot of opportunity for missions trips, aren't there?
And the other thing too is, think about it. Once your life is done, and you're standing before God, we believers, we will stand before God, and there's a whole reward ceremony there. And you've been one that's there are people, Zulu people in South Africa, that would not have come to Christ if it wasn't for Don and Kathy Mingo.
Yeah.
And that's the greatest reward of all.
Yeah.
You see that?
Yeah.
To
be able to be used by God.
Do you want to make it? And of course, a big buzzword is, I want to make a difference. You want to make a difference?
Mm-hmm.
This is the way you make a difference.
Yeah.
And I encourage them to look at BBFI. There's a lot of great organizations out there, but we do things in particular ways that other groups don't do it, and I think it's very advantageous for them to consider that.
Yeah.
So
Well, we're a little biased, but I agree with you. We are a phenomenal organization.
Yes.
Just what
Yep.
what we do, and our people are amazing. But let me just say thank you for coming on. Again, for those of you that are listening, the fact that they stayed this weekend just to make sure that we could have them on the podcast because they wanted to do this. They wanted to share their heart. So
it's a pleasure.
hey, I appreciate you doing it. So
I
it's
appreciate you asking.
it's been great. Don't forget, 9:38 in the morning, 9:38 in the evening. If you have the opportunity, set your clock. Pray that God would send more missionaries into the harvest. So, guys, God bless you. Thanks for coming on
Wow.
today.
Great. Thank you.